After that sneak peek dropped, a lot of viewers got seriously curious about one particular location in episode 6, and yeah, we're talking about that private room. In this video, we're gonna break down what's really gonna go down in there, who's getting paired with who, and if someone's actually gonna use that mysterious weapon. Buckle up, cause this one's gonna be straight up insane. Thinking back to that post where Gooseworx described each episode with a single word, the one for episode 6, guns, really stood out, and for a while it didn't make much sense. But after that recent sneak peek shown at San Diego Comic-Con, it finally clicked. Turns out that word might have been referring to the actual weapon Kane revealed, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being used. The private room seems to function like a kind of psychological safe space, kind of like what we saw in episode 3 during the therapy scene between Kane and Zubul, but this time, it's just between the characters. No Kane involved, or at least that's what he says, because even though he mentioned the room is completely isolated, no one can hear or see what goes on. I'm like 100% sure Kane will be watching everything, and at some point just pop in and interrupt someone's conversation out of nowhere. Like I said, most likely this weapon will actually be used, and in that case today, I want to figure out who's going to be the one to shoot their partner, and who's going to end up being the so-called victim. And I'll say right away that Kinger or Gangle definitely won't be either of those two, and I'm more than sure these two will be paired together. In my previous videos, I tried different pair combinations, but I think only now I've finally come up with the most optimal version of all three pairs. And the coolest part is that a lot of Digital Circus fans actually agree with these pairings. I already mentioned Kinger and Gangle, but the rest can be mixed however you want. Though first, we gotta understand where each of them stands right now. Right now, Zubul's way more loyal to the Digital Circus and its residents than she was back in the earlier episodes, and judging by what we saw in episode 5.
You know your way around alcohol, huh?
Yeah, this was one of my suggestions. I worked at a bar briefly. I like making drinks. I sometimes did that. I wouldn't record it, though. Here's your Cosmo.
Thanks.
Hey, I'm always down to make art together if you want.
Oh, I didn't know you were an artist too, Zubul.
Yeah, I was a tattoo artist for a couple years.
You could say Zubul's actually a pretty genuine character, who really does want to help those struggling to get through all the crazy stuff happening in the amazing Digital Circus. Pomni right now is in what you might call her best shape so far, and her mental health's way better even compared to episode 3, let alone the pilot. Plus, we've all noticed how important it is for her to have a real friend, and that friend could very well be Jax.
I thought the first two were awesome. The rest, eh. Oh yeah, Pomni. I can show you that thing in the hall I was talking about.
Oh yeah, sure.
While things with Zubul and Pomni are more or less clear, it's a whole lot more interesting when it comes to Jax and Ragatha, because for the first time in a while, we're actually seeing some kind of crack in Jax's usual state, and the way he keeps dodging that one question everyone's been dying to know the answer to just makes it even more obvious.
So, you wanna talk about that?
I'm in a maid outfit, what do you think?
But overall, Jax hasn't really changed. He's still the same jerk he's always been in every previous episode, and it honestly looks like the only person he's started treating better is Pomni. Ragatha, on the other hand, seems to have completely lost any hope for a happy life in the Digital Circus, because what she really needs is a real friend. Someone she can be open and honest with, instead of hiding behind that mask we always see her wearing.
But I'm sure the next adventure will be less... what? Oh, hey, it's Orbs Man. Oh, he's from a previous adventure? Before your time. Pomni! Are you okay? Well, what happened?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Here's roughly the current info we have on these characters, and that's basically the foundation for how the pairs will be chosen for the so-called mini-adventure called Private Room. But besides that, there's one more important detail about pairing up, and I'll definitely tell you about it. Though, I'm curious if you can figure out what I'm talking about on your own. If you've got any guesses, drop them in the comments. We've already locked in Kinger and Gangle as a pair, but next up is Pomni and Zubul, and even though that might seem kinda weird since Pomni's way more connected to Ragatha, as shown in pretty much every episode, or with Jax, who she's starting to get along with, Zubul's actually the perfect talk partner for Pomni, and here's why. Like I said before, Zubul's just great at listening to what's being said and really gets into the topic of the conversation. That's exactly what Pomni needs right now, and I'm sure episode 6 will be a key moment for our jester and decide what kind of future her mental state will have. Whether she finally finds happiness or falls back into the nightmare she faced in the early episodes depends on episode 6. To me, only Zubul can genuinely and sincerely talk openly with Pomni without any fake or over-the-top emotions, hear her worries, and share her own truth. Makes sense the last and most hype pair are going to be Jax and Ragatha, and it's clear to everyone one of them's going to pull the trigger. On one hand, it's easy to think it'll be Jax, because he's got that weird obsession with all kinds of weapons, but don't jump to conclusions, because Ragatha's not as harmless as she seems. If you look back at pretty much every scene from the first 5 episodes, you might think she's just too chill to actually hurt anyone, but Jax is the exception here.
Forcing anything on you?
And then you just act like you never do anything wrong and everybody loves you, when in reality you just fuck everything up for everyone else!
Her real anger towards the purple bunny mixed with her mental instability makes her just as likely to use the weapon as Jax. And now here's why I'm more than sure that the pair Jax and Ragatha just gotta happen, and it all comes down to their past. I already told you about the farm these two are somehow tied to, and while Ragatha's side is clear,
I was born into a fairly wealthy family. We had a large property with horses and chickens, and my mother...
But what role Jax played so far still puzzles me. However, it's important to get that this was probably some kind of traumatic experience for Jax, which Gooseworx herself hinted at. During their chat in the private room, we'll finally get all the important details, and since they can both kind of snap pretty easily, it's hard to guess who'll actually pull the trigger, but somehow I'm sure it's going to be obvious, and it'll be Jax. If you look at how these two interact, you can totally see that Ragatha's really trying to keep things under control, and the only time she actually lost it was in episode 5. While Jax has always done stuff to get the biggest reaction out of Ragatha, and what's crazy is, he's always been cold as ice in those moments. So what's stopping him from just pulling the trigger for fun when Ragatha says something wrong again, like, what happened with that mention of Ribbit? Also, this sneak peek might be dropping some really good news, especially about the release date, because we clearly saw the episode's already done, or at least part of it is. And if we remember Gooseworx saying the max wait between episode 5 and 6 is 4 months, and it's been almost 1.5 already, it's totally possible we'll see episode 6 even earlier than expected, so maybe not late September or early October, but mid-September. And that'd be seriously awesome, especially since the show creators officially confirmed they're working not just on episode 6, but episode 7 too, meaning we might get a repeat of episodes 3 and 4, where the wait between episodes was super short. I think we're gonna see a whole lot of Digital Circus real soon. Also remember that weird teaser for episode 6 that actually turned out to be an announcement for the Digital Circus Awards, with the final results dropping on August 8th. If you want to take part, just head over to Wacky Watch and vote for your favorite character. And honestly, the current standings really caught me off guard. I kind of figured Jax would take the top spot from the start, but the fact that for Digital Circus fans Kinger ranks higher than Pomni really threw me off. And seeing Ragatha almost at the bottom is kind of weird too, because I honestly thought she'd at least be above Zubul and Gangle. But I guess all the drama from episode 5 and everything that went down with her really tanked her popularity. We've still got about a week left, so everything could totally change, but on that note, this video is coming to an end. Drop your favorite character in the comments and take a guess who I picked. See you real soon in the next videos.